The bout represents opportunity. It represents achievement. It represents prospering and positive thinking in our youth of today.
Yeah, we definitely believe in that ourselves, and these kids are everything.
Talk about Mexican Independence Day. We could call this Teddy Atlas here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You heard from the champion himself, knocking out the competition.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And unlike our guest tonight, we're simply knocking out the competition. Before we knock out everybody and knock out the lights, we got some bills to pay. And I want to thank our sponsor tonight for tonight's show is the Future of Combat Sports. Go to fightbook.com to pre-register. We have already launched June 1st, and we're giving a platform to the fighters, the fans, the coaches. Everyone in the fight game can now showcase their services. FIGHTBOOK, it's changing the fight game forever. Pre-registration is available now. So I suggest you go to FIGHTBOOK and register your services out there, whether you're a boxing fan, cut man, cut woman, a fighter, promoter, they handle everything. And I'm going to tell you also this. If you want your trees cut down or serviced, or you need your lawn mowed, or you need some cement service, anything to that matter, it's the MALDONADO Brothers, proudly serving the Central Valley for over 25 years. From Visalia to Chowchilla, wherever it is, we have the tree service, professional landscaping. We offer free estimates with the team you can trust. Voted the best in the Central Valley in 2025. Call us today at 559-994-7746. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for that time so we can keep the lights on. And I want to talk about our guest today. He's the president of the sanctioning body, the National Boxing Association, ladies and gentlemen. And that's just one title. I have him down as one of the best photographers in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Damon Gonzalez. Welcome to The Fighter's Voice, bro.
Pleasure, Richie. Thank you for having me. Thumbs up, brother.
Thumbs up for Richie, yes. It's been a long time coming, man. I mean, every time I see you, you're on the grind, you're at work. I'm going to the press conference, you're leaving, or you're setting up for a shot, and you're in that mold already. You're in that on that grind mold. So as professionals, we acknowledge that, and we wave at each other, and we respect each other's work ethic. But we got to sit down and we talked about it, and we got to have a cold one together one day. I mean, you got to have that cold one, that drink together.
That's right.
I've been waiting for it, and when I see you, I tell you what, the first drink's on me, the second shot's on you. How does that sound?
You got it.
I see you involved in other photography. You're always involved in the boxing world, but talk to us about the National Boxing Association. What does it stand for? What does it offer the fighters? And what does it do for you as an individual who just loves the sweet science?
Of course, as you know, like we love this sport of boxing. We grew up around this sport. Boxing's a great sport. And with all my years dedicated and being a part of the sport, starting as a writer a little over 30 years ago, years have went by, and I've learned the craft of photography and boxing through a dear friend of mine that passed away of cancer. Taught me how to shoot fights. He taught me right from the jump. And it wasn't something in the beginning that I started doing, but it was something that and anything revolved around the sport is intriguing. Cut man, no matter what position or what kind of duty or job an individual, male or female, is doing. So, I was able to pick up the craft, and it took a while. It took, a certain amount of years before I was able to say, yeah, I got the shot. I got the story, because it's different than writing the story. It was a matter of just getting the actual story of the fight through photos. So it took a lot of work. And it took a lot of I've learned, honestly, Richie, you can't keep it if you don't give it away. And
Right.
With that said, mentors, Tom Sisson, many guys have taught me through the years, Ed Mulholland, just so many different individuals in the sport that I've come across gave me the opportunity to learn, to learn the craft. And it's exciting because, it's not a point that not anybody can do it. It's a point of, again, the more work you put in, the more you get out, So
Absolutely.
basically, that's what I've been doing for years. And 8 years ago, the former president of the National Boxing Association, the NBA, the NBA passed the torch to me as president of the organization. And I was flattered. I was very in shock that, oh my God, this is something that not only I could learn, but it's something that I know that I could build, that I really understand, that I could help the sport of boxing. And how the National Boxing Association tends to do that. And I don't like saying a lot of times NBA, because people get confused with basketball, you know.
Yeah.
So I say National Boxing Association or NBA boxing, you know. In the beginning, I went to my mentors.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I went to my mentors. I went to Mauricio Suleiman. I went to Ed Levine, John Dodano from the IBO. I went to Paco from the WBO. I went to all my friends. And, I let them know what I was doing and the ideas and what I was doing. And they gave me a lot of help right from the beginning. And we're about building dreams, meaning that, a lot of males and females in the sport that make a decision through either their promoter or their manager or what have you, or their family to fight for a title like ours. We kind of position ourselves kind of like a AAA of baseball in boxing. The Major League Baseball's the WBC, the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF and the IBO. That's the Major League Baseball. So what I mean by AAA is, we're trying to focus on making dreams come true. There's a lot of athletes that, Richie, they honestly, it's harder in the sport today. It's a different wave of how the sport's being addressed. And it's harder to be a world champion in the sport. It's harder. It's more complicated to get opportunities. And not every of these kids are going to get those opportunities. And we understand that. So that's why we position ourselves to say, look, we have something that's valid. It's legitimate. It's a beautiful, beautiful belt. It's a beautiful title. And we handle the job professionally. And we go in and we do our job and we crown champions.
When you say AAA, one doesn't stop to think about like a farm league. That's one call away. When I say AAA, we got a kid in our hometown from Madera, California. I'll say he's one phone call away because he's on a AAA team getting ready to get that call to the big show. Is it safe to say anybody that is a champion in your organization is one fight away? I would say he looks sensational. Then he does get that phone call. How does that make you feel knowing that you guys were the springboard? You were the original platform to introduce them to get to that big opportunity.
I'm glad you touched on that because that's what I love to see. And that's what has been occurring. There are athletes, females and males, that have got the opportunity to fight for our title. And I didn't have to do anything else but make it happen, make it realistic, make it look great for them and for us. Eyes are already on them, meaning the upper bodies.
Yes.
And I feel that and I know that because a lot of our champions have fought for bigger belts and had those opportunities. Not all of them, but some of them have. They have given opportunities to fight for bigger titles and do, the next chapter of their career, I like to say.
Yes.
There's some people that they don't want to go to the next chapter. It's the way it is. It's the sport. But we love what we're seeing, and man, there's nothing more gratifying but looking at the fighter's face when they win the title, and look at their mom and their dad and their kids and everybody just enjoying that opportunity. man, that makes me feel so good. You know, it makes me feel so good to know that, yeah, you know, this is it right here. This is where it starts. And you know, it's like I said, it's another chapter, you know.
I will say this, and it is very rewarding. I remember being able to, okay, I'm going to throw his name out there, being able to interview Jose Ramirez, his sixth fight, professional fight. Was a little bit of camera shy, a little bit. It wasn't too comfortable on the microphone. And look where he's at today. I mean, he's been a unified world champion. He's fought on the biggest platforms out there, knows how to handle an interview. But I sit back to myself and I kind of chuckle myself and feel good because I remember him when he first started with a microphone in his face and also a camera in his face. And not only did his career prosper, so did his confidence in front of the camera, being interviewed from, first of all, Richard Ortiz and now Mark Kriegel, and the list goes on. So it got to be gratifying for you, for a fighter to start off with you, and then you see him blossom and prosper in the sport.
It's great because part of the history, you know, they're to say in the breath of the names of leaders in our sport and also our NBA boxing alumni. One of our, I want to say, active top alumni is, you know, the legend, Roy Jones Jr.
Right.
Roy has been very connected, involved with supporting and helping the NBA, not just with the fighters in the ring, but also with things outside the ring. No matter what, Roy's always a leader. And he's like that with the other bodies as well, because that's how he's built. He's not built just, oh, I'm just doing this and I'm doing this. No, he's built the way he's built. And we love him to pieces, you know, we do. You know, having names of champions like Roberto Duran, the legend, you know, fight for our belt and win it in his country. You know, having Macho Camacho fight Roberto for the NBA and beat Roberto in 2000 in Colorado to win the NBA belt. You know, we've had opportunities to have these great fights, to have Nate Campbell defend his NBA belt during his big war against Juan Diaz when Nate Campbell became undisputed. You know, just so many different opportunities that came along that supported the body and supported what it's doing. We're all about one thing and one thing only. You know, we're all about making sure that we communicate with the other bodies. That's important to us. We're also all about the safety of these male and female fighters. I know you hear a lot of things in the sport. People are like, nah, but the bag and the money and the purse and this is what's important. We don't care about this and that. I get it. I do get it. But again,
the era we live in.
It doesn't prevent us or stop us from doing whatever we can to help these athletes, you know, record a dream in their career or an opportunity in their career. We're about giving opportunities. You know, so that's what that's all about, because, you know, the Muhammad Ali Act was put in place for a reason. You know, yes. Senator John McCain really sat down and put all of this together so all the bodies and all the commissions around the U.S. can say, whoa, wait a minute. This is what's important. Safety is important. Everything else is down the line. And it goes everything in the law. And we follow that law. And we respect that law, and we care a lot about it because, again, this is our sport, Richie. You know, we have to cultivate it.
Yes, we do. We got to protect it, and as much as we can, because it gets bad mouth. Even, I don't want to say us, but we have our opinions at time, because we say to ourselves, oh my gosh, what the heck do we got to do? Every time we take 2 steps forward, we take 3 steps back. And that comes from the judging. That comes from a fighter coming out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he's ranked number 2 and he's fighting for a belt. It comes from a lot of things, but it'll never be stopped. We can only try to contain it and clean it up and keep it respectful as possible.
Right, exactly. You know, you look at, let's just say as an example, I'm just throwing this out in the air. Okay. City of New York, you have the police officer, you have the sergeant, then you got the white shirt. You got the captain.
Yeah.
When a person's the white shirt and they make a decision or whatever the case may be, that's the captain. The captain made the decision. This is what happened. This is the situation. Now you flip that coin around in boxing, when a judge or a referee or whatever the case may be makes a decision, they have experience behind them to make that decision. They didn't just get a white shirt just to have it. Hey, here's a white shirt. No, that wasn't the case. It took a lot of hard work to get that white shirt. My point. So the same in boxing. Anybody you see involved, it took a lot of hard work for them to get positioned where they are. Now, of course, we know it's not a perfect world. We've seen decisions that you just want to either take an Alka-Seltzer or pull your hair out. I get it, but this is boxing. It's just the way it is,
I always tell people this, and sometimes they don't stick around to hear me finish. And they'll say, Richard, why boxing? It's this, or the worst, they'll say, Richard, boxing sucks, man. Why do you do? I say, listen, it's a backstabbing, sometimes dark, grotesque sport, but I love it. And I'm not going to let that take away my passion and my desire to be a part of this boxing world, to make a difference, to give fighters a platform that normally would not have a platform to be heard or something they need to say. So, I filter that out. I really do. And I focus on the good. And I've always said, I'm not that type of media that's going to film a fighter under the influence getting in his car. I'm going to be the one that puts the camera down and helps that fighter catch an Uber and get home safely. If you're looking for that type of story, it's not going to be by me. I'm here to protect the fighter. I'm there to give them an alley-oop so they can slam dunk it. I'm not trying to steal the ball and slam it on their face. That's not what we bring. We give the fighters a platform, and most of all, we give them respect, and we treat them all like world champions. But I've been told from a friend of mine, I'll say, hey, how's it going, champ? How's it going, champ? He said, Richard, do me a favor. I said, sure. He said, don't call them champ unless they've earned a world title, because the ones who have earned the world title, they've earned to be called champ. I never really thought about it, but yes, he's exactly right. And the Hall of Famer, Lee Samuel, said, Richard, once a champion, always a champion. So being that said, I mean,
definitely. Yeah. Fighters, they have their preferences, and it's respect, man. Some years ago, we were talking about this earlier. COVID-19 hit, of course, and we're all stuck at home. It's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're going crazy. And I decided to do a podcast. And during that time, everybody was free. Everybody was free.
Yeah.
And you could just snap your finger and get a hold of somebody. And then you had an interview. And it was just so, so great. Because let me tell you, these athletes, the women athletes, the male athletes, these athletes have great stories, great backgrounds, and great stories. It was just, I guess, at the time, the timing was right, just to really catch them where there wasn't really nothing else going on. And that was rare,
I remember that. And I did say to myself, wow, there is a lot of availability. It became, and then we started as expanding. Instead of just getting athletes, we started getting rappers and singers and movie stars on the show. And everybody, you said it, everybody was available and everybody had a story to tell.
Yeah, we loved it. Our show, we had promoters, we had Eddie Hearn, we had a couple of people on, but it was so cool to call the referee up and have the referees on the show. It was so cool to call the amateur fighters up and have amateur fighters on the show. We try to really stretch it thin to say, hey, look, boxing's boxing. We're all part of the same community. And that's what it led to, just having great stuff to talk about. And it's always good when it turns out that way.
The future of combat sports, a centralized platform where fighters, fans, coaches, promoters, and anyone involved in a fight game connect, communicate, and do business. Fighters can find fights, fans follow every move, and everyone in a fight game can showcase their services. Whether you're looking to promote a fight, find a cutman, or book talent, it's all here. FIGHTBOOK is changing the fight game forever. Welcome to the revolution.
It is, and you know, you get to hear their story, and just like we got to hear your stories, your story that's ongoing, and you know about the National Boxing Association and what it does for athletes and who has fought for the bout, and you know, I can't help but I mean, you mentioned Roberto Duran, Hector Camacho. Me personally, I had it 1-1, but because of the last decision, actually, how many they fought twice or 3 times? Twice. Twice, yes. So how many times did Duran fight Vinny Pazienda? Which, congratulations, Vinny Pazienda in the Hall of Fame. It was twice as well, right?
Yes.
Roberto mixed it up with all these guys. He really did. But because of him losing that decision, I remember Sugar Ray Leonard was at ringside, and he told Hector, he goes, you got a gift today, which lured Sugar Ray Leonard into the ring with Camacho. And then Camacho did his thing. He did. He pressed forward, and he knew he was rusty. And, you know, that's what you do when the fighter's been inactive. He got the legend out of there. It wasn't what everybody expected, but to see 2 legends in the ring at different type of weight classes, it was still rewarding as a fighter, as a boxing fan.
Yeah, you see legends like Roberto Duran, you know, when you see him, you know, he bleeds green. He's WBC green. And you know, the late Don Jose Suleiman, they took care of him. They loved him, they took care of him. They supported him as one of the leaders and champions, win, lose, or draw, no matter what. And that's the way bodies focus on dealing with these fighters. We're a family,
Exactly.
you know, and fighters are very humbled to be part of these families, and that's what makes it work.
I mean, when you think of Julio Cesar Chavez, you think of the green belt. I mean, you know, talk about fighters that have had a relationship beyond a governing body. That was familia, straight up, the WBC in Julio.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely true. You know, I got to give you props, brother. I really love your show. I love listening to it. You have so many great people come aboard, and it's exciting because, again, you know, the voice is us. You know, the voice is the community and the people involved in the sport, to just reach out to people and other people and just listen to what's going on. And you know, I always strongly recommend the younger generation, listen, educate yourself. This is a university. You got to educate yourself on not just inside the ring but outside the ring. And by doing that is listen to these legends, listen to these stories. When a younger fighter sits down and they hear your interview and they hear you talk to somebody and they hear you ask questions and the back and forth and what have you, they're actually educating themselves on, okay, when I start giving interviews, I'm going to know how to respond to questions, position myself, and listen to what's being said, because it's important to me as an athlete to give my feedback. That's important. That's important because, again, it's not just the fight. We want to know the training. We want to know everything. That's just how it is, you know. So it's good for everybody.
It is. It's all about comfort and respect. And you know, a lot of athletes, they'll get nervous, and I always tell them, hey, you got this. Don't worry about it. You got this. And I always tell them off camera, I'm not going to let you drown. I said, I got you. I said, get ready, because I'm going to give you an alley-oop. You know, and that way they feel better mentally going into the interview. And once they're comfortable, I always chuckle to myself, because they'll tell me, hey, Richard, I'm gonna give you 15 minutes. Hey, not a problem. This is on the podcast. An hour later or 45 minutes later, I mean, because we gave them that comfort zone, we gave them that platform, and they felt that warmth and respect, and they were able just to even tell us even more than we asked. And that's what it's all about, man.
Definitely for sure. You know, today was a big shockwave in boxing. You know, Turkey Al-Shea announced Canelo and Crawford that it's an official fight for T-Mobile Arena in September. And how could, truthfully, really, Richie, how could you not be excited? You know, the fight's amazing. it's amazing. You know, I mean, there's so many things that can happen in that fight. That's what makes it exciting. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too. What's your take on that fight?
It's, you know, again, you're looking at two different. You're looking at Darth Vader and a Jedi. You're looking at two different styles that are going to be in that ring, and a lot of factors are going to be involved. That again, you got two individuals that have been at the top of their game through their career. And with that said, you know, this is great. This is really a Super Bowl fight, you
It
know,
really is.
because it's like you would really push and want for your fighter to win because you know what they bring to the table, but at the same time, you really know what the other guy can do. And it's
Yeah.
bad. It's real bad because you know you don't know the turnout in this one. It's hard to say the turnout. Anybody can easily say, "Oh well, yeah, Canelo's gonna do this and walk through him," and that you can say that. That's great. We know Canelo the type of warrior and athlete he is. He's at the highest elite. However, Crawford's at the highest elite. So with that said, it's like, you know, I don't have anybody right now. I still got to chew on it. It's still a
Yeah.
little time to September, but I'm sure both of them are really, really taking this extremely serious. You know, this isn't at all 0% propaganda. This isn't propaganda. This is a real fight. And
Yeah.
both of those guys are really going to give the boxing fans what they deserve.
You know, I'm going to say a few things about it, but I'm not going to choose anybody because where I choose today, I may choose somebody different tomorrow. I'm just keep it 100.
Right.
I think of a lot of things going into that fight is like Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody has a game plan until they get hit. But you got to be able to land some punches. Bud Crawford, his IQ. I mean, Bud Crawford's coming in southpaw. He's going to say southpaw most of the fight. He really is. And he may change up a little bit if need be because he knows the way. Canelo can't really give away 3 or 4 rounds to get his rhythm and then land a big flurry at the end. You can't give rounds away. I'm going to say this. If Canelo does not knock him out, he is not winning a decision. That's the way I feel today. So
it's definitely a fair statement. Absolutely fair statement to say.
As we get closer and closer, who really has the edge? Who has the power? Who has the mindset? It's a chess match, man. It really is. And as far as the weight difference, I don't see too much of a weight difference any longer. I really don't. You got to remember, Bud Crawford was a wrestler, so he knows his body, even at a young age, how to cut weight. He knows what he's doing in there. I just want to see the way he reacts once he gets hit flush. I want to see the way Canelo gets hit by a 5-punch combination that he's never at a different angle, how he reacts to it. I mean, does he want to get back, or is he, staying maneuvering? He still can do the game plan. There's a lot of if factors or should have, would have, could have's that I'm already saying ahead of time. It's a great fight, man. I mean, you can match it up from different angles, but as far as Bud coming in right-handed, I do not see that happening. Bud's going to stay southpaw the entire fight. That's just my take.
Yeah, he's an incredible fighter. He's a smart fighter. It's not going to be a lot different than Canelo and Bivol, meaning that, here's a guy that he's really going to stick to his game plan.
Yeah.
And I expect Canelo to understand that, and he's definitely going to stick to his as well. So it's a matter of who has the best game plan in September,
Yeah.
But they're both on that direction, what they need to do. And it's exciting. To me, it's super exciting.
That's what boxing needs. I look forward to it. I don't care what the records are. I don't care what the age limit is. I don't care what it is. We get to see King Kong versus Godzilla straight up. Straight up. And it's and that's what we always wanted, the matchup we wanted to see as the kids. We always, I want to see Superman against Batman, who would really win, or, the Incredible Hulk against the Thing, that type of matchup.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the sport itself it's to me in sanctioning fights almost every weekend. Actually, at the end of the month, 4th of July weekend, we'll be sanctioning a fight. Two heavyweights from London are going to be fighting for our title in the Cayman Islands. So we'll be down there in the Cayman doing that fight. And again, it's just great to see just the sport staying active and staying busy and doing so many things, So, I definitely give a lot of props to everybody down the line, OTX, from the from the from down to up to down. Everybody has really been contributing in different states. I'm really trying to make it happen for these fighters and keeping these fighters busy. And there's a lot to be said. We have seen probably one of the biggest turnarounds, meaning really bigger eyes are on women boxing today with what's been structured by Most Valuable Promotions and Nikisa and Jake Paul. What they decided to do with bringing in, some great championship women and putting them at that platform. And man, that's just amazing, man. That's great stuff. Because again, it really changes the structure and how things should be in the sport. It should be right across the board with no question.
Well, I think you're the perfect person to be the president of the sanctioning body. I mean, someone that knows the boxing, knows culture, knows the fighter inside and out, what he or she needs, and getting them ready for that next level. And not, some people, they would frown and say, well, once you're with us, you got to stay with us. And no, you're proud to say, almost like a father. Look where my kids have grown since starting with me. Since starting here, look where they're at now. We've watered the roots. We've helped the plant, and look at that beautiful tree that it is today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's good marriages, there's bad marriages in the sport, But again, the important thing is these athletes just keep on punching and do whatever they can to get in there and and perform and fight this great sport that we love.
Well, what could the fighter's voice do to help you guys? What could we do? I mean, me as an individual, what could I do to help you? You let me know. You call me, Richard.
Well, again, this is great. We love the opportunity to come on your show and talk to you about how we're positioned and what we're doing and how we're contributing to help and support these fighters. If there are certain things that I need to address and deal with, of course, I have great people around us, and I have great people that I can go to for support. And that's important. That's very, very important because, again, the leaders that are up there doing what they're doing, they're working extremely hard, and they're doing what they can to crown these fighters and to support them and help them and give them that opportunity, that chapter in their career. Especially again, I can't even imagine, somebody that wins the WBC green belt or the IBF belt, or the WBO, the beautiful WBO. All the belts are beautiful, and we're a family, and we have to do whatever it takes to help these fighters and support these fighters. We've had great media from you, from Fight News. There are individuals that really support, again, the structure of what's happening in the sport, because yes, it changes like anything else in life.
Yep, it does. Things do change. And what I will say this is what I did. I work at a continuation at the high school. And what I did is some of these kids don't get the opportunity that the other kids get at the high school level. So I got a replica belt, as you can see in the back, by the WBC. And when the kids would do something just that was awesome, whether it was, I got all C's. I praised them for that because they used to have all F's. Our kids are a little different. When they walk in the classroom, when they may use foul language walking in the classroom. You got to know when to fight your battles, because I'm thinking he's walking in the classroom. I'm going to leave him or her alone. So I would award kids who would pick up their trash, or, hey, there's going to be a fight over here, tell me ahead of time, prevention. I would award them, and they would take a picture with the WBC belt. And I said, you're champion of the week because of what you did. They go, but I only got all C's though. I said, but what did you have before? You had all F's. Or we have a gang member, Norteño or Soreño. And one of these gang members, the teacher came up to me and said, Richard, have you seen so-and-so's grades? I said, no. 4 A's and 2 B's. And I sat him down and I'm thinking, what do you want to do after college? Well, I want to do that. I go, well, have you ever thought about using your mind? You know, you struck, just, you know, I had him take a picture with the belt. And I'm thinking, this kid is too smart to be running the streets. He needs to be running a factory, or he needs to be running his own business. And we, you know, I wanted to give him hope. And a lot of people used to frown on it about the belts. And then the kids would say, hey, what do I got to do to take a picture? What do I got to? And I said, I don't just give those pictures away. I said, there has to be something. Well, he said, well, I don't got all A's. You don't need all A's. Just have a good week. Just be a good person. Throw your garbage away. Just continue to go to class, because the numbers are small as far as our students, but all eyes are always on them. And we've had male, we've had female, early graduations. They took pictures with a belt. Long story short, I sent all these pictures to Jill from the WBC Cares. She put together a nice article for the kids. And I told the kids, I said, didn't I tell you? Because the Bible says, call things as if they are as if they're not. And I did. And we gave it life. And I said, you're going to be in that article watch. I told them in the beginning of the year, I didn't know. I didn't talk to anybody from the WBC, but it came to pass. Not because of me, but because of the kids. So I just wanted to share that and let you know that the bout represents more than just boxing. The bout represents opportunity. It represents achievement. It represents prospering and positive thinking in our youth of today.
Yeah, we definitely believe in that ourselves, you know, and these kids are everything, you know, coming
They
up,
are.
you know, especially early, you know, they're fighting Golden Gloves. They're really getting into the sport at an early age. Every year we have gone to the PALs here in Florida, the Tampa area, and we have supported the boxing programs. You know, these kids right off the street, right off the block. And, you know, they go in the ring with the help and support of the police officers that are there on duty at the athletic center. We were giving out medals, you know, championship medals to these kids in support of their effort and their willingness to, at a young age, to go in the ring and compete. So with that said, man, you mentioned, you know, Jill Diamond, which is an amazing, beautiful person.
Yes.
We love Jill. Her and Mauricio Suleiman have said, okay, you got, you know, 25, 30 kids at the PAL event. We'll send some WBC medals over to support as well. And that's what I'm talking about. It's about them. It's about doing what we can to help these children, and you know, with everybody that really gets involved, and you have Mendoza that's traveling, doing stuff with kids all over the world, in Colombia, Venezuela. He's really reaching out to a lot of young kids that don't have nothing.
This segment is sponsored by the MALDONADO Brothers, proudly serving the Central Valley for over 25 years. From Visalia to Chowchilla, whether it's an expert tree service or professional landscaping, we offer free estimates and a team you can trust. Voted best in Central California for 2024 and aiming for a repeat in 2025. Call 559-994-7746 today, and let's bring your outdoor vision to life. Superior quality to create your perfect environment.
They really have nothing. And you know, he's doing tournaments and supporting and helping kids all over the planet. Again, that's what it's all about, you know, helping out the younger generation.
See, you talking about this right now. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't like this governing body. I don't like this and that," but they've never known, or they don't get to know your story or exactly what they do outside of the ring. And for these kids, there's no camera around. There's no documentation that it happened. It just happened. And we're not supposed to, film me right now because I'm going to feed the homeless. No, I'm just going to give the homeless if I choose and God puts it in my heart. I don't need a camera. I don't need, if there happened to be one there, there's one there without me knowing. I don't need to step on my reward already. But for you to acknowledge these guys that are being positive and doing positive things for the future of boxing and for the future of these kids, it's remarkable. Everybody has a story to tell. But my point is, everybody's so quick to judge and talk about negative or, you ran a red light or you did this or that. They never want to talk about the positive things. And I'm glad you came on the show. I'm glad we arranged it because of the time difference. And it was a long time coming. So what are all the fans, followers, and supporters? What do we need to do to follow you? How do we get in contact with you, or how do we follow exactly what you're doing?
Definitely, we ask for the support. We ask people to follow the organization on Facebook. We're under National Boxing Association. If you go on Twitter or X and Instagram, it's NBA Boxing, one word, NBA Boxing. And that's how you can follow us on social media. Messages, when people message me and they have questions or they want to ask me something, permit me to say I do I do whatever I can to try to get back to everybody as much as I can. However, again, it's a busy ship. We stay busy, we stay consistent. Just recently, we visited the Children's Cancer Center in Tampa Bay. It's one of our babies. We support these kids with cancer, and we've been doing it for quite a number of years now, where the National Boxing Association has given back to these kids and supporting them. One year, I made a phone call. We had Paco come from Puerto Rico, and the WBO joined us together and supported these children, and the WBO contributed as well to help out the kids as well. And everybody down the line, and the staff of the NBA and the people that aren't even with us anymore, we're very grateful and thankful for everybody that has contributed and helped out when it comes to things like this, because again, these kids are fighting for their lives, and it's everything to us to support them and to call them champion, because they are little champions, all of them, every single one of them. And it's not just in the ring. It's not just the day that comes where we put a title around a fighter, a champion. These are the other champions outside the ring. And that's what it's all about. When you start hearing the stories like you were mentioning, Richie, that's just a contribution that I bring, permit me to say, to talk about what it means, what it means when you put in the hard work and you try to support these athletes. It's more than that. It's bigger. And that means everything to us.
Well, you know what? You mean everything to us, and we appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And we got to have you back. That's. I like the collaboration. I like to hear the stories, and got to have you back, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to keep posting this. A lot of people are going to want to know exactly what's going on. How can they be a part of it? How can they follow it? And how can you follow the Fighter's Voice? We appreciate everybody that subscribes to our YouTube channel. It's www.youtube.com/thefightersvoice. I want to thank our guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Damon Gonzalez, president of the sanctioning body of the National Boxing Association. Not the NBA in basketball, but the National Boxing Association of Boxing. The sweet science. Why you put the gloves on, why you put the mouthpiece in, why you do all the road work, all the hard work to compete for a title such as this. And it goes a long way. The sanctioning body cares about what you do inside and outside of the ring. If you've been called up or chosen, it's because they've done their homework and they know what type of person they want to represent this sanctioning body. So knowing that, fighters, get ready for that phone call, keep working hard, and hey, do what you do. So, you know what? I want to give you the platform one last time. Is there anybody out there, a sponsor or anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, first and foremost, I definitely want to give a shout out to all our champions. all the fighters that are NBA champions and are former champions, and for working so hard, and it's very, very gratifying. It's very important, very gratifying that we were able to position ourselves to give the support and the opportunities to, in the beginning, these steps to watch the athlete grow. And man, there's nothing more exciting but to watch the athletes grow. There's nothing more exciting than that. So I definitely want to contribute and dedicate our success to them. Because they mean everything in the world to us. They mean everything in the world to us. Every single one of them.
And I'm sure they think the same about you. Iron sharpens iron. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And I want to thank our guest, Damon Gonzalez. Why? Because we're simply knocking out the competition. As always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Thank you, Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.